You guys, don't tell Raymond, but I bought more emu eggs.
Surprise!
Hi guys, welcome back to the homestead. I'm Erica and this is Raymond. Today we're going to be talking about emu eggs.
So she has a slight obsession with emu eggs. Recently we got 5 new eggs because 4 was not enough originally. So we're going to show you the process that we take to mark them and get them started in the incubator and just take you through all the steps.
Now as some of you know, we've only had 2 of our last 4 hatch. One of them came back and it was fused, his head was fused to his stomach, so he didn't fully hatch. And then the other one is actually still in there. We hear that they can take anywhere between about 48 days all the way up to people have had them hatch around 72 days. So right now our last egg in there is currently at day 65. So we're gonna give him a couple more days or about a week to see if it actually hatches before we go ahead and open it up. We decided it was important to get eggs from different farms and different people. That way if they do hatch and grow up and decide to start breeding, that we're not then breeding from the same pairs. So whenever I do find breeders, I ask how many emus they have and then try to get eggs from different nests. That way we're not worried about that later on. Now there is always risk in shipped eggs because the yolk can detach or they could freeze on the way over. There's different things that could happen. But we don't have a lot of farms right by us that have hatching eggs, so we have chosen to ship some in and take the chance. The first set of eggs came from Pennsylvania and we've actually already opened the box. One of them seemed a little off, and so we went ahead and put that one in the incubator to see if maybe it was gonna just go rotten in within the first couple days. Whenever we get eggs in the mail, they should come wrapped really well. So this one was wrapped up in a thick bubble wrap and then it had foam on top and on bottom to keep them safe and keep them warm. Whenever we receive new eggs, we unwrap them right away. Then we inspect them. We look all the way around the shell to make sure there's no cracks and nothing seeping out. These guys look healthy. When you receive your eggs, they need to sit at room temperature for at least 24 hours. They usually come and they're really cold. So we don't want to shock them by putting them in a nice warm incubator and then them just going bad. So you let them sit at room temperature for 24 hours and then you put them in. So it's more of a gradual change in temperature. Last time we got emu eggs, I went ahead and put tape on all 4 sides of the eggs with numbers. That way as I rotated the eggs, I would know that I'm rotating the correct amount. Also on those eggs, I put a piece of tape that told us which farm it came from, its lay date, and what day it was expected to hatch. This time, we're not going to be using tape. What we found when it was hatching is that the tape was actually making the part of the shell stick together, making it harder for the chick to come out. So this time we're just gonna use some chalk to write it all on. Last time we hatched eggs, I was actually rotating them a quarter turn every 6 hours. Halfway through I found out that we only actually need to rotate them 3 times a day and you need to do a full 180 turn. So you start up and then flip, and then the next time you flip it back the same way. You never want to keep going around in a circle. So with that new knowledge, we're going to rewrite on these eggs. We're just going to put side 1 and we're going to put side 2. Also on these eggs, we're going to write down the day we put them in the incubator so we know what day we should expect them to hatch. So we're going to go ahead and write on those now and get those ready.
Number 1 for side 1. Oh, that's not good. Okay, now what do you want on this side? Do you know when they're laid?
Well, we're just gonna put the day we put them in the incubator.
Okay, so today is 3, 1.
Great.
All right.
Now the eggs that we're currently riding on came from a farm that only has the normal emus. So that's the same color as Richard and Buckbeak, just the regular wild color, which is the brown colors.
Okay, put them back in the box for now.
Then I found a farm that also has a chance of whites and blondes. Oh, this one's definitely rotating.
Yeah.
You know, the braiding. Click it off.
Yeah. So what we're doing right here is we're slowly rotating the eggs to see if we can feel any movement of the yolk inside the egg.
We don't want to move them around too much because we don't want to cause them to detach from the shell either. So I have been kind of worried that these ones have already detached when we got them in the mail, but we're hoping that that's not the case and that we'll still get some little baby chicks out of them. A blonde chick is a combination of both a white and a normal colored emu. They're usually more white with some brown feathers or spots on their backs. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to keep track of which way we turn the emu eggs each time, and also how many days left until they hatch. We want to rotate them 3 times a day. So I usually do it first thing in the morning, right before I go to bed, and then sometime in the afternoon. So usually right around lunchtime or around 3 o'clock, depending on how early we rotated them the first time. So right now we have 50 days till hatch. Our other 2 eggs hatched at 48 days and 50. Sounds like 50 is the average day that emus usually hatch out when they're put in the incubator at this temperature and humidity level.
So this is our incubator. It's a Hubabator. We'll put a link in the description. But so far it's served us well for hatching the emu eggs. The only problem that we had with it was keeping the humidity level down. So we actually just added a small little USB fan to blow over the porthole to help with the air circulation. So with this incubator, when we tried to do a dry hatch, which means we don't add any water to the troughs in the incubator, we found the humidity level stayed too high. So by adding this fan, we were able to keep the humidity at the levels that we needed it, between 35 and 36 degrees humidity, or percentage humidity. And it seems to be doing better now that we added that. So
we also found that even with the fan, if we put water in the troughs inside, it still raised the humidity levels too high. So instead of putting water in the trough that we couldn't easily remove, we instead got little jars of different sizes, and then we just put water into the jars. That way, as I checked on it, I could just remove jars or add jars as we needed it.
Yeah, the humidity level is based on the surface area of the water. So with the troughs running all the way through the incubator, it was a little more difficult to dial in that specific humidity level we needed. So we found that with those guys, with the little cups, little beakers, whatever you put in there, it helps control that surface level for the humidity.
So as Raymond said, we want the humidity level to be between 35 and 36%. And we want the temperature to be right at 97.5. So we have a little digital thermometer in there so that we can keep track easily of what the percentages are. On top of that, you also want your analog thermometer for the temperature as well. So if this is showing one temperature, you want this to match it pretty well. We had a couple different digital thermometers in there at one point, and they were all just saying different things. So we found the one that was going to be closest to this thermometer because we knew this was going to be the most accurate. And that way this one's a little bit easier to read. It also shows us the humidity level, which is important. So each time I come in, I just fill the water as needed. And I check on it multiple times a day, because at different times of the day, the humidity level is different. So if it's really hot that day and the sun's coming in this room, the humidity level actually rises, and I might need to adjust the temperature a little bit, or I might need to adjust the humidity levels, which is why the little beakers are nice, or the little measuring cups are nice, because I can just take those out and put them in as needed. Whereas if I put water in the troughs, then I now have to take out all my emu eggs and dump the trough to get the water out.
Yeah, and when you have more items in there, so more eggs, it throws the humidity levels off. So as the eggs were hatching and we were taking things out, we had to keep readjusting the humidity levels because there was less mass in there to get rid of the humidity levels. So that's another thing you need to watch out for, is just keep an eye on that, because it changes constantly.
It's also important that before you put your emu eggs in your incubator, that you've already run your incubator for at least 24 to 48 hours beforehand to get those levels correct. Then once you put the eggs in, you're going to have to adjust it again. So just keep a close eye on it for those first couple of days. Make sure that you have the incubator at the right temperature and humidity level. So something else we wanted to show you was one of our eggs from our last hatch. This guy was our second egg to hatch, but as you can see, we put the tape on it, and we actually had more tape on it. But as it hatched, you can see that the tape was holding the cracked part together. So actually, as it was hatching, I was having to remove tape because he was trying to hatch out the part where I had taped it back up. So that's why we decided not to do tape this time, but instead use the chalk. It's also important to keep the egg after it hatches, because if you let it dry out all the way, this membrane right here will come out all the way, and then you can send this in and have it you can have it genetically tested, and they'll tell you the sex of your emu, whether you have a male or a female. So we are going to be getting ready to send our other 2 emu eggs in hopefully this week, so we can find out if we have little boys, little girls, or one of each. Okay. All right, now we're going to put our eggs in the incubator. As you can see, we still have our original egg in here. And as you can see, I have the tape all the way around it, which we changed for this one. We still haven't heard any whistling. We haven't felt any movement in this egg, so we really don't feel like there's anything in there. But we're going to give it a chance anyway.
Yeah, typically you can whistle to the egg after a certain point, and you'll actually hear them whistling back.
Yes, when they break through the inner membrane, that white part that we were showing you, that is when they hit the air sac, and that's when you can hear them whistling. And that's usually 1 to 3 days before it hatches. This guy is on day 67, so we're probably going to go to about day 72.
They'll also wiggle too inside the egg before they actually start whistling back at you. So there's some sign typically, but not all the time. But I think both of ours that we hatched wiggled and whistled, so it was pretty exciting.
Gives you a little hope since it's a long hatch period. This guy does not want to stand up. Okay. We also have our other egg that we were telling you about that we weren't sure if it was going to survive, and we weren't sure if it was going to be rotten. So we went ahead and put that one in early. We put that one in on February 25th. And now we're going to put the other 2 eggs from that same farm in here as well. And we're going to keep them all rotated to number 1 for now. And then we have our second set that are hopefully some whites or blonde emus. And we're going to put these up here. Ready to go. Then I'm going to keep checking on them probably about every 10-15 minutes to see if our humidity level is correct and if our temperature is correct, to make sure that I adjust that as needed. Alright, I also have the wipe off board ready, and as you can see, I put 50 days till they all should hatch. So that's an approximation. And then over here, I have what day they're on. So the one that's been in there longest is on day 67. Then we have day 5. And then our new ones are day 1. Also on there, I'm going to write which way I turned them each time. So the first time I rotated to the right. The next time I rotated to the left. And tonight before bed, we will then rotate again to the right. That way I know in the morning which way I'm going to rotate. It's very important that they're not on the same side every time overnight. So if they're going a 12-hour stretch and it's always on number 1, then that might affect their growth. They need to be rotated so that each night they're on a different side, which is why we do 3 times a day and we switch rotating right to left. So when we decided to start this journey in raising emus, it was extremely hard to find any information on the internet about raising emus. We didn't know what they ate, we didn't know what kind of enclosures they needed, we didn't know anything about hatching them, and we just couldn't find anything until I started joining a bunch of Facebook groups and hearing from real people about their experience and what to do and what to expect. So that's how we got all of our information on raising these guys and incubating them, hatching them, feeding them, and we'll continue to get a wealth of information and knowledge from these people who've lived it and know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or comments as far as hatching or raising emus, we'll try our best to answer your questions, and if we don't have any clue, I'm sure we can find an answer for you. But that's the importance of having a community of people that have done this before, is that you can find information from them and it's accurate. They've lived it, so.
All right, thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time.
Richard and Buckbeak want you to like, subscribe, and share.